everybody. So today, Ria and I are going to talk about the literary book club events that we hosted. We'll start off by talking about the Instagram blog that we started to promote authors of lesser read ethnicities. So here we post about books that we read and we like that are from authors of lesser read ethnicities so that we can promote diversity in the literary world. And we started this off because all the three of us love to read and we met in a book club. So that's where this project started off. Over to Ria.
So we hosted a book exchange event in which we invited gentlemen to connect people all over Chennai who were in similar genres of books. So, if, for example, if two people were interested in sci-fi, then we would connect two people over those genres, and they could exchange books with each other, whether they be ebooks or if they were actual hard copies. Then and all COVID precautions were taken for this. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah. We also hosted a book drive. So in this, books were donated to the underprivileged. We collected books from students from our school and other members of the community, and this it turned out well. We were managed to give donate it to the NGO and get a certificate for them from them as well.
So now Ria and I are going to talk about our experience by answering some reflective questions. So we'll just spin the wheel, pick a question, and answer that question. Okay, so I'll take this question. Ria, you can go ahead.
All right.
So you can go, Ria.
Okay, so as of now, we don't have very large plans at the moment, but we do plan on keeping our blog updated. Maybe in the future, if it is possible, we could try to host another event. But as of now, we're just going to focus on our blog, and yeah.
Okay, I'll spin the wheel again. We'll answer one last question. Some of the highlights of these events. I think the highlight of the book exchange event was when people wrote to us saying that they received the books and they were happy and they were excited and things like that. And for the book drive, it was giving the books to the organization and knowing that we made a difference. That concludes our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hitesh, you could start.
Right. So we are the Marina Beach cleanup group. Sahil, Naman, Rashid, and I got the idea of cleaning the Marina Beach every Sunday, and we did it from 20th December to 10th of January. And yeah, Rashid, you can present your screen now.
Yeah, so I'll be talking about some of the safety protocols we carried out. So since it was the crowded nature of the beach and due to the coronavirus, we made sure we follow as many social protocols we could. So we wore latex gloves, masks, and proper sanitization. And post the use of them, we discarded them safely. And now Sahil will be talking about his personal experience, and then Rishi will be talking about the learning outcomes we covered via this project.
So I felt that um, this was a good experience for us because we had to plan ahead um, before going there. So I the feedback which I think we could use is probably like plan better so we could actually cover more ground, like clean more coverage of the beach.
Rishit.
Oh, sorry, I was talking. Sorry, yeah. Um, yeah, so I was talking about the different learning outcomes that we've covered. So we kind of understood the benefits of working collaboratively and seeing how we took the initiative of going to a beach to such a cleanup and what the necessity for it is under such a pandemic circumstance. So, like when we do such actions and experiences, we see how we can patch up our learning outcomes to such an experience in club it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. We can move on to the next group.
All right, hello everyone. So uh, we're going to be talking about the debate and current affairs club. By we, I'm referring to Adityan and I'm Atulya, and we started this project, the debate and current affairs club for high school, and to just explain what it is. So what we do in the debate and current affairs club is that we have informal discussions and formal debates on global issues and current affairs, specifically global headlines. We also discuss debate strategies and do activities based around debate. So how it usually works is that we give the participants and the members of the debate and current affairs club a little background about the specific current topic that we're going to discuss. Then we give them some guiding questions to sort of start a discussion going. And after that, we have a debate on one of these controversial aspects of the current affair that we're focusing on. So to look at some of the topics we've covered in the past in the club. So we started off with talking about Black Lives Matter and the protests that were happening during the pandemic, and how what were the negative aspects of it, what were the positive aspects, and we had a debate on that. And we've done all sorts of things. We've talked about the death penalty. We've talked about the Capitol riots, vaccinations, and how vaccine passports work. And currently, right before school ended, we were talking about professional sports during a pandemic and how they've evolved to keep up and what are the controversies in the field. So, to talk about that, we're going to be giving you a little demo.
Okay, so we thought we'd show you a little bit of what goes on in a normal debate club session. So first, both Atulya and I together would give a short background of the situation that we're talking about for the people that aren't completely aware. So, for example, in this case, we talk about how the IPL came back and it was played in the UAE, and how it was called off halfway through the season this time, and how football is being played at the top level in Europe and the US and things like that. And so then because because we want to show different sides of this issue itself, we'll also bring in the idea that money is being put into this where it could go to other things such as pandemic relief, and also people who work on who work on bringing these games to the people and things like that are put at risk of getting COVID-19. So after that background, if you go to the next slide, we'd we'd provide our members with a guiding question based off of which we could have a discussion. So the guiding question that we had was similar to the one that's on your screen, but for today's demo, we'll just use the one that's on the screen, which is, do you think it makes sense to pour money into sports and risk safety solely in order to give the fans what they want? So does any one of our debate club members want to give us an idea of what they might say? Yeah, Anusha.
I think that it does not make sense to pour money into sports and risk safety because it's a big investment and that can be directed towards maybe subsidies in healthcare or maybe even to make vaccines more accessible, considering that that should be our priority right now.
Yeah, so that was a very common view expressed by lots of our members, and so the other side of that that came up in the discussion as well is that sports and sports teams are part of the culture in many places around the world, and so bringing them back is a reason for people to be happy in a time where there's not much of that going around. But yeah, that's what goes on usually in a typical debate club session. And after a couple of weeks of discussing the same topic, we look at one point of conflict and we have a debate based off of it. But thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to be talking about Virtual Voices now. So, Virtual Voices was an online concert that Priya, Ria, Tiana, and I hosted and organized on 26th of September 2020. Our goal was to raise money to support Gurukulam, an NGO and a school for the economically underprivileged. We also wanted to give the artists a platform to showcase their talents.
Moving on to the challenges that we faced, I will start off by saying that this was an experience that was completely different and new from what we had all experienced before. So, just like every other experience, this experience too came with its own set of challenges that we learned and grew from. One of the biggest challenges that we faced was when, just before the event, one of the artists cancelled and was unable to make it. So, this situation, although at the time was very stressful, it taught us how to think on our feet and work quickly and efficiently, and most importantly, to not get demotivated. This helped us get through this challenge, and we were successfully able to allocate another artist, send out the posters, and arrange the details within time.
I think one of the things that really contributed to our learning was, there isn't a great way to say this, but the planning of this event took over about a month and a half. And in the first 2 weeks, we weren't as efficient as we could have been. We realized that we were taking a lot longer to do simple tasks than we should be, and we used to get distracted easily. So I think these 2 weeks were where we learned that we needed to have a schedule, we needed to have a deadline. So after that was when we made a schedule for the upcoming month. We had deadlines with tasks and dates and allocated to each person. This made our work a lot more efficient. We were communicating more effectively. We got more work done in time, and we were having a lot more productive sessions because of this. So the importance of deadlines and a structure was very important.
So I was in charge of the finance and the registrations of this event, and I learned a lot from handling that because learning to stay consistent when it comes to a task as difficult as making sure that everyone's registered, everyone who's registered has paid. So that was, I think, a very fruitful experience for me. And we raised around 31,600, which we donated to Curriculum. So all the proceedings, all the donations went to them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shloka?
Um, Hello everyone. We are Team Declutter Drive, and we hosted the Declutter Drive, which is a thing where we collected a lot of goods from the people in the city and gave them to the people of a tsunami affected village called Poneri. Um, Today we'll be asking each other a few questions which would help us reflect on the journey. So let's start off, guys.
All right, Ikshu, can you tell us some of the challenges which you faced while the Declutter Drive?
I think the two major challenges that we faced was communication and transportation, because there were times that things were delivered to a particular place, but we had no clue about it. So that was one problem that we faced, and another was transportation because of the COVID crisis. We were not able to hold a particular guy who could transport everything. So thankfully, we had enough volunteers from our class itself, and that had been pretty comfortable. Shloka, what were the different challenges? What were the different skills that you've learned throughout this entire journey?
So through this entire journey, I think I've learned to keep communicate well, as you said, Ikshu. So communication, whatever the issue is, or if any task is done, we will learn to report it and just immediately make sure that everyone knows. So we sort of have, all of us have the same idea, and we're not thinking about something else and something else is actually happening. So Rati, how was the entire experience of the declutter drive for you?
I personally felt that it was quite enjoyable because of the fact that I was able to do it with you guys. The fact that we had like a lot of collaborations going on within us, the fact that we spent a lot of time on it, and that's what kind of made it a success. And as Ikshu and you mentioned, there were many challenges just with the emails and how we were supposed to communicate with others and how we were trying to get in the collection points. All that was a challenge, and we were able to come over it. So it was a wonderful experience in the end. And Hitesh, would you want to tell them about the future plans that we have for Declutter Drive?
All right, keeping the instructions and the protocols the same, the team and I decided to launch Declutter Drive 2.0. We took many steps towards it, but we couldn't initiate it formally because of the COVID pandemic. So the schools were locked and people couldn't drop their stuff, neither could be collected. So that was a future plan. We wish to execute it once lockdown is over. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we start with the student clubs. Good morning, everyone. Priya, you ready?
Yes, okay, so I'll just present my screen.
Yeah, I'll
We'll
start.
start off with the chess club that Hitesh and I hosted. One second. Yeah, Hitesh, you can start off.
Yeah, we would also like to inform that we would like everyone in this meet to have their Kahoot open because you might need it for some of the other presentations. So we just request you to do that. And Hitesh and Priya, you can
Yeah. So, good morning, everyone. Today we'll be giving you a brief introduction about how our chess club was. So, Priya and I taught two primary school batches for totally 5 months. Since every student has a different understanding of chess and a different progress level, we split the class into two: a standard level class, which was led by me, and high level class, which was led by Priya.
Okay, so we taught them basic chess lessons like notations, piece promotions, castling, and often played numerous games too, which they quite enjoyed. Hitesh and I will now perform a short skit which should give you a broad idea as to how a chess lesson would be conducted by us. So Hitesh will play the role of a student and I will play the role of a mentor. Okay, so I hope my screen is visible. So today we will be learning the topic of castling. Hitesh, what do you know about castling?
I know castling is a move in chess done between a rook and a king.
That's good. So castling is the technique that is done to safeguard the king from other pieces. Now we all know that the king can only move one square at a time. However, when castling, the king exchanges places with the rook, just like this. Do you have any other questions, Hitesh?
So, so are you saying the castling can be done with both the rooks?
Yeah, so we can either do this castling move on the queen side where the king has to jump 2 squares, or on the king side where the king has to jump just a square. So this is an example of how the session went when we taught them castling.
Right. So that's it. So now Priya will show you a quick game that was played by two volunteers, and Priya will. Yeah.
All right. So just quickly, we got two volunteers from our chess club to play a short game, and I could just show you what kind of level of understanding that they have, and I could quickly just analyze the game. 1 second, I'll present my screen. Okay, so this was the game that was played between two of our volunteers from our chess club, and we taught grade 3 and 4. It started off with a defense called the Philidor defense. If I just skip through the main turning of events of the game, uh, this was, as we can see, this was a huge, and in chess we use the term blunder, which is a mistake that cannot be rectified in a game. As we can see over here, the queen captures the knight, therefore causing the bishop to then recapture the queen, and this was one of the biggest blunders or the turning events of the game. And moving on, if I just go to the next turning point of the game, we can see that that even though white lost their queen early on in the game, black too committed a similar blunder and gave their queen and lost their queen throughout the game. One more thing that we can notice, which is very important, which is a very important strategy, is that now that we are slowly inching towards the end game, which is the game is going to end in a few moves, we can see that the kings are not in their original position, but it's almost in the center of the board, and this is a very important strategy in chess. Um, One more thing which I would like to highlight, which was important in this game, is that we can see here that the game is not over, but the game has ended due to time constraints. And white, even though is in a better position, has more number of pieces lost due to time constraints, and this makes us realize how chess is it gives you an opportunity to focus on multiple things, which is timing, and it's not only just which move do I play next. So that it allows you to multitask and teach us. It's wonderful because even though one particular move was played, there was a possibility for numerous other moves too. If it were Vishwanathan Anand, however, he would have been able to calculate around 25 to 30 moves ahead, opening up so many other possibilities and turns the game could have taken, and that is the brilliance of the chess game. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Today, Amrita, Ikshu, and I are going to be taking you through what we did in the theatre club, which was another primary student club. We'll just answer some reflective questions, and we'll start off with this one. What was it like to teach theatre to primary students? If I were to answer that, I'd say that it was a roller coaster because there were moments when it was all happy and cheerful, and we were all excited to take part in the activities. But other moments when we were overwhelmed by the energy of the kids. Amrita, what would you say?
Yeah, I totally agree. But I had a great time teaching the kids. It was so nice to see that enthusiasm, and it was super fun to explore theater with them.
Yeah, as you all mentioned, there were times when kids were like jumping around the entire class. So it was really fun to see all of them this happy.
All right, what was one new skill we developed? So I think we worked on our communication a lot. We had to ensure that the three of us were on the same page, and often had to find new ways of communicating to ensure that all our students understood us.
I think another skill that we've developed this in this activity is patience, because I think we had to put in a lot of it to actually make them understand things.
I agree with you, Ikshu. And I think one more skill that I'd want to point out is organizational skills because we had to plan a few sessions in advance to make sure that this club was progressive and that the learning was also progressive. And so that was a new skill that we developed.
I think the highlight of the theatre club was the Halloween party. So we used this opportunity to talk to them about costumes and why we actually have costumes in the play and how we design costumes and how we choose a costume. Do you guys have anything to add on?
So, well, we've noticed and like all the feedback that we've gotten suggests that they enjoyed learning just as much as we enjoyed teaching them, and that was really great to see. As you can tell, that concludes our presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. So, Adi and I will be presenting to you our football club. So, yeah, Adi, would you like to start?
Okay, yeah. So Arjun and I hosted the football club for our primary for our primary students, and essentially it was an opportunity for us to stay fit, and also for people who share a common interest of football to continue playing and keep it and like keep our touch while we were in lockdown. So Arjun will tell you a little bit about what we do in the club itself, and then we'll show you a short compilation of some clips we have from the club, and then we'll discuss some of our challenges. But yeah, Arjun.
Yeah, so in a daily class, we would start off with a few drills to warm up our legs and our whole body. And then we'd start off with some small ball drills to ensure that we get control over the ball. And then on top of that, what we do is we'll do some towards the end of each class. We end off with the warm up. But before we start our warm up, we usually teach the kids one skill to or a new skill, and for example like a rainbow flick or a rabona or something like that, and we make them learn it over the course of the week and come back to us the next class and try and show us what they've learned it pretty well. Now Adi will just present a video of some of the compilations of clips that we have done during our class.
You guys want to do is you're going to take both your hands, and when you go into your squat position, push your legs towards the out, ball side to side like this. You want to stay in one spot and you want to move the ball side to side like this. Except what you guys gonna do is move it much faster. So you want to go on to the next drill now. So if you have a wall, what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to like if you have a wall like this, what you're gonna want to do is pass the ball onto the wall, control it back, push it to your left leg, pass it, control it with your right leg, push it, pass it, do it 10 times with each leg and keep switching.
This exercise, what purpose you are doing now? During the game, when opponent is coming, any opponent is coming in front of you, you can just drag the ball to the other direction and you can move.
Okay,
Yeah,
so yeah.
you can go.
Of course, like you saw, we had the help of Meghal Ansar, who is our football coach as well. But it was a new experience for us because I don't think either of us have really have taught football to anybody else before. And also the fact that it was online and that we were learning how to teach while we were teaching as well. So Arjun, do you have anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, one of the main challenges that we actually overcame here was communication because we had to plan and communicate before class. So we would always decide what drills we were going to do. And so once school started, it was a little bit of a challenge for us because we couldn't really do anything for the kids. So we had come up with a plan to find videos online, which consists of a football session, and just send it over to either Meghnanta or Gopi sir, both of our mentors for the session, for them to present the video and for the kids to learn and have an engaging session. That'll be all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sanisha?
Right. Hello, everyone. So we'll be briefly telling you about our press club. So the press club was a student-led initiative hosted by Sunisha, Mrinali, Ikshu, Rati, and myself. So the main objective of the club was to give middle schoolers an insight on the various fields of journalism and to also help our members gain important research, writing, and verbal skills. So we did this mainly by having classroom discussions, writing, and verbal sessions where we presented and they spoke about different topics and they also wrote many articles. So we focused on a variety of techniques to research and also covered the ethical aspects within it.
Now, they were exposed to a brief understanding of why one must give credit to various sources and how exactly it's done. After which we explored verbal forms of communication in the form of panel discussions, news reporting, news debates, and so on. As of now, we have a writers group who are extensively involved in critical thinking and technical writing. And having completed one whole semester as a group, we feel extremely confident and proud for how far we've come and how far we've really helped those students get better in terms of their writing as well as their research skills. So now let's move on to a small taster lesson of what exactly we did in our press club.
Arati, can you change the slide? Right. So when we do discussions in our class, we usually choose topics that are relevant in the media and in our lives to accurately simulate what a panel would be like on a news channel. So right now on screen, our broad topic is just thought taking the COVID-19 vaccine, when a more specific and focused question is how well do you think COVID-19 vaccines work, considering one can still be susceptible to the virus after taking it? So usually when we give our students this topic, we give them time to prepare and then have them carry out the discussion in separate groups, which we call news panels. So right now, we open the discussion out to the audience and we're ready to speak around whatever thoughts come to your mind on this. News panels really aren't as structured as debates. So there's no real, like I said, there's no structure, not one person going after the other. So anyone can speak out and we will give you prompt questions along the way to aid in your discussion.
Okay, so I think that the vaccine that it's always better to be safe than sorry, and so vaccines introduce antibodies in your body, which is like a preventive measure. Although one can get the virus even after taking the vaccination, it is a preventive measure that is scientifically proven that it will work or prevent you from getting the disease once again because it produces antibodies in the body which help fight the disease. Also, it has the vaccinations have an efficacy of about 95%. So I just think personally that it is better to be safe than sorry.
Does anyone else have thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Yes, please, Professor, go ahead.
Regarding the vaccination, I think for me, for example, and I just took my first shot, it's a matter of whether I will end up in hospital or not. I don't mind having the virus if it's going to be like a little flu, which is going to put me in bed for a couple of days. But if the vaccine is gonna save me from actually any more complications or end up in a ventilator or with oxygen, that is good enough for me.
Does anybody want to add on or? All right, then Ikshu, you want to go?
Yeah, so I think press club as a whole was a whole lot of fun because we in the process learned a lot. This was just a little demo of how it happens every class. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah.
So moving on to the Art and Crafts Club. The Art and Crafts Club was a club which we had mentored for about 2 semesters for the primary kids. This was a very interesting, fun club that took place because it was a club where we had students explore their artists within themselves, and we explored things like sustainable crafts, and we really helped them find their own creativity. Now, a small activity that we did during our art and craft club was to guess certain artists and painters. So, how about we give that a shot now? Do you want to guess who the painter is on the left? Anyone?
Anyone?
Yes, Profe.
That's Frida Kahlo, Mexican painter.
That is Frida Kahlo. Absolutely right. How about the one on the right? He's a very famous one.
Pablo Picasso.
Yeah, that is Picasso. Well done. Okay, so let's move on.
Yeah, so I'll be talking about the activities that we have done in the Art and Craft Club. So, like in the beginning of our session, we had more of like a sustainable theme to it. So we were making envelopes, we were making paper cups out of newspapers, and then we had some origami going on. And then we had some in the second session we had more creative work, more of like using just having doodling for one whole class, letting them kind of get comfortable and having some still life art. And we also had one session where we were able to combine a mandala and pop art. And I did feel that all of the kids had a lot of fun, and the fact that we were able to bring diversity to every class and we were able to balance artwork and craft work together was really good. And yeah, moving on.
So, as Jati mentioned, we explored a very diverse range of projects, but I think the two main things that we looked at first were developing skills like precision. So, in projects like origami, we had to make sure, the students had to make sure that the way they were working was precise. They were able to follow their instructions, and I think they were able to follow through with what we were saying. So that's one part. Being precise, being able to follow instructions were one thing that we concentrated on. That I think, they've definitely improved on from the first class to 2 months later. So that was one part. The second part was giving them the artistic freedom. Now, as you can see, pop art inspired mandala. So there is a basic structure, there's a basic prompt. They've been told the idea of it and what they could include. From that point, we gave them the artistic freedom to explore, to choose what they wanted to express, and to see how things would take it for themselves. So I think this was another part that helped them understand what they were interested in, what they enjoyed, what they didn't, and maybe give them an idea of what they wanted to learn. Because at the end of the day, we did have a lot of students coming to us and asking us about different things, about how they could get their work to look like it, or if we could learn something particular. So that was about it.
I think we can move on.
So, good morning, teachers and students. Today, we'll be talking about our CAS project, which is the Primary Quiz Club. The facilitators of this club are Shrishti, Mrinali, Trisha, and I. We will start. Next slide, please. So, we'll be addressing these three things: the introduction, semester 1, and semester 2. Next slide, Shrishti. All right. So the quiz club was formed to encourage kids to think out of the box and go deep into topics. This club enhanced their critical thinking skills, communicative skills, and collaborative skills. So as facilitators of this club, we did not want it to be like a boring lecture where they just have to listen and we have to just teach them. Instead, we had interactive games and quizzes to communicate better. Now, Mrinali will talk about the first semester.
Yeah, so for the first semester of the quiz club, which was last year, we were a bit apprehensive at first and we weren't really sure what topics to cover. So, as facilitators, we wanted to find out what our students would enjoy learning, and the response that we got from them was history. So, we explored ancient history, to be more specific, ancient Greece and Egypt, through Kahoot quizzes and cover topics like the seven wonders of the ancient world, Egyptian mythology, the pharaohs of ancient Egypt, and more. Um, so we want to give them the feel of doing quizzes as they hadn't really done that in their classes before. Um, Next slide. And we also played games each class to make it more interesting and interactive for the students. And they were all based on the topics that were covering that week. So examples include a mummy making game and a virtual tour of an Egyptian tomb.
Okay, so we realized that last semester we had focused too much towards one topic, that being history. So we decided to have a more variation of topics this time. We also focused more on making quizzes on different platforms like Kahoot and quizzes, and also framing questions well. So we would usually start by demonstrating and playing a quiz in class. This was usually made by us, and then in the following class, we would have the students go into groups to make their own questions. So the demonstrations help the kids in not just showing them how to answer questions, but the unique topic we use for each week would help students develop their general knowledge. Some of our topics included the solar system, reptiles, whales, the continents of the world, and many more. So we try to integrate friendly competitions in class to keep the students motivated. We did this by making them play each other's quizzes at the end of each class.
Okay, so this is an example of one of the questions that a kid made when we were doing the Kahoot week. So we taught them how to make a Kahoot, and this is one of the questions a group came up with. The male type of this whale can only be found in the Antarctic Ocean. So if any of you would like to take a guess, just unmute.
Yeah, I think it's a beluga whale.
Unfortunately, that is incorrect. Does anyone else want to guess?
Can I?
Sperm whale, sperm whale.
Yeah, you are correct. It is a sperm. So moving on, the last session we had with them, we wanted to make it more interactive because we realized they weren't really engaging with each other until it was necessary. So for this, we basically had 4 rounds and we put them into teams. And the team with the least amount of points at the end of each round was eliminated. So we came with one winner at the end. And as I mentioned, this was a very interactive session that I think all the kids really enjoyed. And the winning group got this e-certificate made by Janvi, which was forwarded to them via email. So we definitely enjoyed doing this semester 2 over semester 1 because we were a little more familiar and we knew what we were doing. And we were a lot more organized, and we also were great at communicating with the children because we had prepared beforehand. So with that, we would like to conclude our presentation, but we'd also want to thank our mentors, Suma Auntie and Sangeeta Auntie, for helping us through the process.
Good morning, everyone. So we're going to be talking about the ICT Club. So we are a group of 6 people. Myself, Zahir, Ajay, Sahil, and Harsh. 5 people actually. And what we're doing is we were teaching ICT to juniors. So we worked on this for about 8 weeks, and this is a program which happened during our shuffle in January, where we were coming to school, so we were having to separate our work and distribute our work between the 5 of us, and that's what we're going to talk about in detail. So first, we'd like all of you to join the Kahoot. The, and the Kahoot is something which we would do in class to engage with the students, and the students really like this interactive session, and that's why we thought we should take it up with you guys also. So first of all, Ajay, are you there? So one question which we would like to talk about was what were some problems we faced, Ajay? What do you think were some problems?
One main problem we faced was not being able to attend the class because we went to school and the class was at 3, so most of us would be in our cars going home. So what we did was, so the people who went to school would formulate what the others who didn't go to school or couldn't attend school would do, and that way we split the work between these two different groups. So the people who didn't go to school would teach, and the people who went to school would formulate the lesson plan.
Harsh, would you like to add on to any of it?
Yeah, so another problem we had is that with like IB, we it was hard to find time for all of us to meet and create lesson plans. So I'm talking about the first set of classes, and what we did instead is that we found like a common time where all of us could meet after school, and we made it compulsory that we sat down and created a proper lesson plan as to what we want to teach them the next class instead of trying to wing it.
Sales will start with the presentation and Kahoot.
Yeah, we could start with the code. So what we would do as a class was initially what all of us did was ask them about what they liked. So in the first set which we did in the ICT Club, they actually loved the initial part, which is this Kahoot, and they thought they would like to learn a lot from this. But the second batch, I already knew half of these, so we had to change our lesson plans, and we had to create it so that it'd be more interesting and interactive for them. So you can answer this question. Zai, you could take it. Yeah. Okay, so this question is what is hardware? So is it an operating system which the computer runs on, a physical component of the computer or electronic system, or is it just a metal? So yeah, it is a physical component of the computer or electronic system which exists. Yeah. Yeah, so this was something we also talked to them about, HTML. This was the second batch was very interested about, and we thought it was a bit over their standards because we thought for their grade it might be too much, but they loved it, and we talked to them a lot about it. Yeah, so it is hypertext markup language. It is used to format websites, which we learned also when we were in about 7th or 8th. So G Suits and Google Drive and all these things were something we talked to them about, and this is very important because all of us in this school use it, and it's very important, and it is a file storage system. And the last question. So G Suite is a collection of different tools by Google itself, and in third place we have Anushka. In second place we have R, and in first place we have S. Thank you guys for playing, and hope you understood a bit about our ICT Club. Yeah, we're going to move on to our individual presentations. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Harsh Bukadia, and I'm going to be introducing the next segment to our CAS presentation. This section of our presentation explores the unique and individual work that every student has undergone during this academic year. CAS gives the scope to explore individual interests and passions of every student. A few students will now talk about and give us some insight into their unique individual projects.
Okay, so I'll just present my screen. 1 second. Okay, so good morning. Today I will be giving a brief overview about a CAS project that I have undertaken. I have been in conversation with an NGO called MakerGhat, following which over the next 1 year, I intend to pursue the service and creativity component for my CAS requirement with them. I hope that through this association, I will be able to achieve some of my key learning outcomes for CAS. Before I proceed with my presentation, it would be lovely if I can get at least 2 volunteers to maybe try following one of the videos that I have made and come up with their own work of art.
I would like to.
Okay, so Nisha and Tati. So I'll just post the link of the video that you can follow for today. However, if you want to check out the other videos that I have made, I should put that link as well. Thank you, Rati and Sinisha. Anyone else from the audience too is free to watch my video and allow their creativity to get the best of them. Now let us understand a little more about the NGO MakerGhat. What is MakerGhat? MakerGhat is an NGO which attempts to create safe and open community spaces in underserved environments, equipped with resources and mentors. Over time, they hope to evolve into an incubator for projects, enabling youth to launch social and commercial enterprises that empower their communities. The founders of MakerGhat have first-hand experience with the creative potential of underserved communities. MakerGhat provides a platform where these youth can nurture and showcase their talents in an environment where they are free to experiment and contribute to society in a variety of ways. MakerGhat has collaborated with numerous organizations such as IIT Bombay, Stanford University, Asha for Education, Teach for India, Georgia Institute of Technology in Atlanta, Vidya, the Nudge Foundation, Amrita Vishwa Vidya Peetham, and the Government of India's organization Niti Aayog. Moving on to what I have been tasked to do. I've tied up with this NGO wherein over the next 1 year, I have been tasked to provide a series of video films that will form a curriculum for their students, like a DIY video, which will strive to cover almost all the aspects of painting and drawing. The process of making each episode involves a minimum period of 7 hours of work each week on my part, which includes gathering information, scripting, shooting the video, editing, background music, etc. I intend to do about 50 videos, which shall cover the entire gamut of different types of methods of painting and drawing. Before making any video, I write a basic structure of the script. The name of the series that I have developed is called Art by Pre. I use Windows Movie Maker for making my videos, and for quite a few of my videos, I had to first learn the technique myself before attempting the video tutorial. Some of the new media that I had to learn was stippling and Zentangle and Mandala. This exercise is an ongoing process which shall take me around 18 months to complete. I started this project in October 2020, and as of 31st of April 2021, I have created and released 25 videos. Now let us check on Sinisha and Rati. Do you want to show us what you have created?
Yeah, sure. This is what I know.
That's great. So in my video, I taught the technique stippling, which is a pen and ink technique. I used only black and white, but I think Rati has used color too, which is wonderful. Which is actually what I strive to, which is what I also strive for my learners to achieve, to let their creativity get the best of them. Sinisha, you want to show us what you have come up with?
1 second.
That's wonderful. So she's tried out another object. I did a different type of flower in my video. So that's great. Thank you, Sinisha and Rati. Thank you for listening.
All right, I hope you can see my screen. So I'm going to talk about Team Everest. In case you guys didn't know, Team Everest is an NGO which provides you opportunities to help society. And I took these two opportunities from them. First was the kindest challenge. So here is a list of and challenges which they uploaded, and we had to do any five from the list below. You provide evidence to them, and they give you something like this, like a letter of thank you letter, and that becomes a cash project for me. The second cash project which I did through Team Everest was feed a bird. So they took a long orientation session over where they taught us how a bird something like this like a nest for the bird should be like, and this is what I made, where I put rice grains. There's a small window as you can see, and this should be hung on the any branch of the tree so that the birds can come and feed on the rice. And this is their certificate which I got from them, uh, and this again becomes a cash experience. So that's it. Thank you.
Do I continue then?
Yes, Sally, you can start.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about a photography contest I held a few months ago. So for the aim of the photography contest I held was to find interest in in the photography community within KC High, and it was also to further my interest in photography as I've never really done anything more than just take a picture and post it on a social media. And it was also kind of to like distract people from all the negativity around them, as that was like during one of the first few lockdowns, and everyone's still scared of the virus. Like we are still scared of it now, but at that time it was still novel, so people didn't know much about it, and that really creeped a lot of people out. And I thought it's a creative way it's a good way to help people stay creative and kind of distract them from everything around them. So the whole planning the final part took about 1 month, from 7th of October to the 7th of November. And the process in which I did it was, first I sent one form to all students to find the potential candidates, and there was just like a rough form to see if people would sign up and is it worth it to actually have this competition. And once I got about 40 responses, I sent out the other form, my second form with the registration. And over 3 weeks, I gave people around 3 weeks to take the image based on the theme, and decide the winner based on that. So the two pictures which stood out the most, which was Kite Kid by Venugopal, who's a student in 11th grade, and Tomorrow's Dawn by a teacher, actually. So both these images provide a very good view of how it's a very creative way to take a picture, and I feel like there's a lot of thought that's gone into them. Okay, so I have a small activity for everyone now. So look around your room, observe your surrounding, and try to think of a photo ideas for the theme life during lockdown. Type your ideas in the chat. So this is the same theme I used for my contest as well. So I just thought I can kind of try to recreate and something like that. Okay, so Atulya has a picture of my keyhole on the door to signify lockdown. Okay, that's a very interesting way to look at it. Anyone else? Okay then. So thank you for your time, everyone. I'm done.
Could you please let me know once my screen is visible? Can you see my screen?
We can see it, Yana.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So one of the individual projects that I took up last summer was called Intro to Art. It was a 2-week course where I was teaching students between the ages of 8 to 11 the basics of art. I also help them learn things that they wanted to, projects that they wanted to take up. So I helped them through that. So this was a 2-week program that I started by myself. It was just me, and I had about 18 students. So for each student, there was a fee. There was a fee of 2,000 rupees for 10 classes. And the sole purpose of this was to raise funds for a COVID relief initiative by my family in Mumbai. So I raised about 36,000 rupees, and here are a few glimpses of how the funds were used. It was an organization called Little by Little, where I was able to contribute towards providing a month's ration to people who weren't able to afford it at that time. This was during the first wave of COVID. So moving towards my project, and I think a few things that I learned, that my key takeaways, I would say, first off is patience. I underestimated how patient I would need to be, especially with students between the ages of 8 to 11 years old. I found myself repeating myself several times. They had a lot of questions. Sometimes they would digress, but I learned that I had to be patient. I had to be able to take up each of their questions, and um, so that was one thing. The second is effective communication. Now, when you're talking to students or just kids a lot younger than you, if you use complex sentence, if you use complex vocabulary, they're not going to understand, they're not going to catch on the instructions. And especially in art where instructions are important, I had to make sure I was being very concise, very simple, and my instructions were very easy to understand. So effective communication was the second one. Financial management. Again, since I was handling the fee that came from there and putting it together and then transferring it to the Little by Little initiative, I think this gave me a little idea on how I can financially manage projects like these even in the future. And the fourth one is self-management. Of course, since I was the only person, the only mentor who was helping these students, from making lesson plans to getting back to their work to giving them feedback, and again coming back to the financial management. I think all of these things put together really help me understand how I can manage myself. What are the different things I can do to ensure that I'm organized and I'm able to manage things in the process that is following through. So I'll just be showing you a short video. This includes clips of our classes. We had numerous Kahoot quizzes. Um, it's just a clip, just a few clips. All right. I hope I was able to give you a glimpse of my project. Thank you.
All right. Please let me know when you can see my screen. Can you see it?
We can see your screen.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to be talking to you about the music classes I took for kids with Down syndrome. What we usually did was we started with warm-ups and then we brushed up our previous lessons and we moved on to learn something new and ended up with a fun activity such as singing a story or singing while you're dancing, something like that. The major difficulties that I faced was communication because being based in Gujarat, they didn't understand Hindi as well as they did Gujarati. So there were times that I had to open Google Translate and just tell them what I was trying to tell them. And the sessions always had to be interesting and interactive, which did take a lot of time to prepare. Some of the new skills that I developed was teaching skills. This was a very good way to brush up my own lessons, communication skills, and I obviously improved my creativity. I have a short video for all of you to show how my classes actually went. Thank you. That sums up my presentation.
Hi everybody. I'll be talking about the volunteering work that I did with Smithsonian Museum. They have a digital volunteering platform where people can sign up and transcribe old archives. And the reason I chose this project is because I'm passionate about history, and this project will allow me to experience it firsthand. And I also wanted to make the world a better place by ensuring that all historians and researchers had access to these transcriptions and not just those who could make it to the museum to look at these. And I'll just be showing you a quick demo of what I did with them. So I'd log into my account and I'd choose, usually I went with African American history because that was the most interesting to me. And sometimes it was also a little disturbing because there were like records of slaves and things like that, things that I wouldn't have confronted otherwise. But I just zoom into the part where I was transcribing and just write it down. But that's as simple as it was. But it was a very enriching experience because I got to see everything that I was learning about in class. And I also got to explore some new areas of history that I wouldn't have been able to do so otherwise. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
One second, I'm just presenting. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Chandra, you can.
So, good morning, teachers and students. So, since we both did a baking fundraiser, we thought it would be nice to talk about our experiences through these questions.
So, Every Sweet Tooth Counts is Janvi's baking fundraiser thing, and Batter and Sprinkles is mine. So, let's just start off. So, Janvi, how did you work through the challenge that you faced during the journey of baking for others?
So for me, my biggest challenge has always been to like battle stress. So one day I had I had a very big order, and she told me only 3 hours before the deadline. So that was super stressful for me. But then I managed to calm myself down because I realized that there is no point in working like that while you're stressed. That would just lead to bad desserts. And so I managed to bake the desserts within the time crunch. And Shloka, how did you balance school and the fundraiser?
So one thing that I had to keep in mind is that whatever happened, school was the first priority, but at the same time, I wanted to spend enough time on the fundraiser. So, what I did was I tried to count the number of hours that I could spend for the fundraiser in a week or in a day, and I would try to balance that out by making sure that I'm done with my schoolwork before I get to that. So, what are the strengths that you have identified during this experience, Janvi?
So I think during this experience, I managed to identify strengths like entrepreneurial qualities, which helped me market the whole fundraiser on Instagram. My organization skills to balance between school and the fundraiser, like you mentioned earlier, and also my communicative skills had improved because I had to talk to a few people to get my account to be like to promote my account and also customers who had ordered. Yeah, and the last question we will be addressing, both of us will be addressing it. So, Shoka, what was your target achievement for the fundraiser, and who did you donate the money to?
So, my target achievement was 15,000 rupees. This is what I wanted to donate because anything less, according to me, wouldn't be as significant because 15,000 is what would is how much it would cost to help two children get the required technology. So I donated to an NGO who helped children who didn't have smartphones attend online class. So they would give them a smartphone and also help them where they needed help. So they needed people to fund them so that they could pay for it.
All right. So, I donated about I think 32,000, which I raised for an organization of differently able people called Vidya Sagar. And with that, we would just like to show you an example of what every sweet tooth counted comes with and batter and sprinkles. Yes. Thank you so much.
Okay. So for my individual presentation, I'll be talking about an NGO who I worked with. The NGO who I worked with was a foundation called Hand in Hand, and they specialize in helping in numerous ways. They can help in the department for children, help in in the department for recycling, cleaning, so many things like that. And I chose the children department because as per my skills, I can compose music or play music well, and I could also help teach music. So I wanted to see if I could use my skills in music to try to help teach kids something new. Since when I asked the CEO of the company, they said that they've never really attempted to teach a lot of the creative arts. It was mostly just academics and some fun schoolwork things to do. So I thought I could take that opportunity to help them. So one of the things I just wanted to show is how exactly the class goes. So I'll just share my screen there. So I kept it all in a tab called the Hand in Hand Reflection and Ongoings. And this is the docs I was working with. This was the first ever email I got from them. My task was to write an essay on my skills. So it was almost like it was just me displaying all of my skills to them, and they'd have to judge them and see where I can use them. So they saw that I could use my skills in English and music a lot. And over here, you can see that we've had a lot of meetings with me and the teachers and some other students to choose a few things to do. And one of the first projects I had to work on was the music making. So for that, I had to suggest a few poems to the teachers, and I had to tell them that these would be the one songs that the kids would actually like to learn or something they would want to sing. So here I have a file which is my first file I received from them. Um, so these were actually named songs, these four over here. These four were all name songs which were sent by me. I had to change their name in my musical ability. I had to see if it was possible for me to play it or not. And I was trying to be very, very optimistic because I really, really wanted to make something for the children and hear them sing it. So I named I named each of them very iffy, not possible, possible, and slightly possible. And I was able to give out two songs out of these four songs which they sent to me, and these were what the children sang. And these two are the songs which I was able to put. So for now, I'm just going to play one of the songs, and then I'll conclude my presentation with that. Ah, well, it's fine. Um, so it's just something I want to show you. Even if you can't see it, hopefully you at least understood how exactly the process goes for my class. We can start by just moving on to the next presentation.
Yeah, can you all see my screen?
Yeah, we can see.
Yep. So hello everyone. This presentation is based on my first ever CAS project titled Seize the Spread. A little brief about the NGO. So Seize the Spread is a non-governmental organization that aims to curb the spread of COVID-19 by supplying safety and essential kits to the needy at this crucial pandemic hour. This NGO has been operating ever since COVID-19 broke out in India, and they have been actively initiating some large-scale projects too. So this NGO is run by one of my close friends who is the head of this NGO, and so I was able to trust and partner with them as I was on the hunt for doing some social service at that point of time when it was such a crucial period with fluctuating lockdowns last year. After a month of planning, communicating and ideating with the NGO, we were able to execute our project by the end of August, and we sourced our list of essentials and safety equipment and got them transported to the place that we were going to distribute to, which was an old age home called Annai Ullam, where we supported about 50 old women with a survivor kit that was enough to bank on for about 15 to 20 days. Every kit had a pair of masks, a kg of rice, a few soap bars, toothpaste, and personal hand sanitizers. So we managed to fund for about 50 women with such life kits that we came up with. Overall, this experience was a good start that I was looking for in my CAS journey, as I was able to achieve my intended learning outcomes. Because after about 10 days of communication and perseverance that we showed as a team, despite challenges like the absence of logistics under a lockdown, we were still able to gather all our resources and distribute them in the form of safety kits. And most importantly, after serving our chosen site, this experience gave me a first-hand insight of the struggles that the general public are facing under this pandemic, and it made me think on how gruesome it could exceed on a global scale. Hence, I was able to connect more socially and understand the situation at the moment. And after this project, I have been actively serving different groups of the needy from different locations over this past year. Also, on an important note, I had done this project last August when cases were quite low, and that gave us the confidence to step out as a trio and serve the people, despite the handful of relatively less intense risks. Now, with the present scenario, I advise you all not to step out and participate in such projects with such deadly circumstances at the moment in our state. Whereas, please try financially supporting for such causes, and there are multiple organizations who are seeking funds. Yeah, so there are multiple organizations who are seeking funds with the help of fundraisers. The reason I'm saying this is because of how, for example, if you can see this tab here, this is a fundraiser set up by Seize the Spread themselves. This is just one among the millions of fundraisers. So Seize the Spread themselves have a fundraiser on Millap that they aim to keep raising funds through so that they can fund their future projects. And if you would like to serve or help them during this pandemic, I highly recommend that you support such NGOs financially, as they are ready to go outside and serve the people while they are now just awaiting to raise funds and source more essentials using those. So yes, that's their Millap link and their fundraiser. And this is their Insta page. I shall forward the links in the chat box later, so you can go through their activities that they've been doing, the different kinds of social service and drives that they've been conducting. So yes, that's about it. Thank you, and stay home, stay safe.
Right, okay. Hi, good morning and welcome to the presentation on Trisha and I's CAS project, Climate Unfolded.
So Climate Unfolded is an Instagram account that Renali and I handle. So our main objective is to spread awareness and provide information and resources about the climate movement, environmentalism, and our planet in general. We do this in a simplified and accessible way so everyone can understand what we're trying to say. So, our activism mainly takes place through our Instagram account where we make posts on different issues and current climate affairs that are happening around the world.
Um, right. So this is one of the posts that we made in the past few weeks and months. A lot of our posts have the same format, and we aim to use like bright graphics paired with like bold statements to grab people's attention. So researching and making illustrations take some time, and this results us in posting somewhat infrequently, which is an obstacle that we have to work on. So this post, for instance, is about the rise in global temperatures.
Right. So in this post, we basically spoke about how the average global temperature is rising due to an increase in the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So countries under the Paris Agreement decided to limit the average increase to below 2 degrees Celsius. However, we see that global emissions continue to rise. So would anyone like to unmute and tell us why we should limit the temperature rise to below 2 degrees Celsius? Anyone? Right, so Mrinali will tell us more about this. So I guess we all see that most of us aren't very aware of the reason. And that's what our account focuses on in providing complicated information in a brief and simplified way in order to help people understand these issues better.
Right. So once we explain the issue that we're talking about, we then try and talk about the importance of it. So as Trisha asked, why should we limit the temperature to 1.5 degrees Celsius? So scientists predict that at this rate, current emission rate, temperatures will rise to 3.7 degrees Celsius in just 80 years. So the effects of this rise include severe drought or shortage across the world, a rise in sea levels to the point where coastlines and cities on the coast will be submerged, and the loss of marine ecosystems, including coral reefs and marine species.
Right, so moving on, this is an example of a video we made in the same format of a post. So we realized that videos are more interactive and easier to understand than posts. So we hope to try something new with this.
Climate myths, part one. Carbon dioxide makes up a small portion of the atmosphere, so carbon emissions don't matter. Although carbon dioxide only makes up a small fraction of the atmosphere, it can still have a significant impact on the Earth's temperatures. According to NASA, carbon dioxide accounts for about 20% of the greenhouse effect, where greenhouse gases trap infrared radiation, which warms the Earth's surface. While carbon dioxide can move between land, plants, and the ocean, as much as 20% may remain in the atmosphere for thousands of years, increasing the Earth's temperature. Climate myths, part one. Carbon dioxide makes up a small portion of the atmosphere, so carbon emissions don't matter.
Right. So this is a screenshot of our account on Instagram, and eventually we hope to expand to a website and blog and do more in-person events. And we aim for this to be a long-term project. So if you're interested in this type of content and want to see more information on climate change, do follow our account at Climate Unfolded on Instagram.
Thank you.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a collection of projects that Atulya and I worked on towards in July and August of last year. So essentially, at this point, we were still getting used to the online school model, and so what we decided to do was we were trying to help out some teachers get used to the online school model, and so we we were given an email account which is KC New Computers, because at that point there were some teachers who received new laptops and weren't completely sure how to use them because they were different from the ones that we had before, and especially how to use them for the online school. With this email, as you can see, we've had interactions and meetings with multiple teachers, and so just to keep all of that in order, we had sheets where we kept some of the projects that we worked on for different teachers. And one of the most important projects we felt for us was we so basically there's a software called Alagi, which is something that the language teachers use to type in the various languages that they teach. And so this solution wasn't available on the new laptops that lots of the teachers had. And so what we did was we went out and investigated different alternatives, and then we got feedback from the teachers after they tried these different alternatives, and then we evaluated what would be the best alternative to proceed with, and then we recommended that to the teachers. And so similar to that, we worked on a couple of other projects, and Atulya is going to talk to you about another.
Yeah. So as part of the same sort of group of projects, oh wait, I think I stopped presenting. Sorry, I'll present again. 1 second. Uh, yeah, so as a part of the same group of projects, we were getting a lot of emails about different problems and different issues. So we thought it would be a better idea to create a KC High website where teachers could go and try to troubleshoot these issues themselves. So we created this website, and we had all sorts of features like what you can find on your desktop, and for example, if you go to the File Explorer, what it is and what you can do in it. We also had things like tutorial videos on, for example, a beginner's guide on what you should do right after downloading Ubuntu. So Ubuntu is a software that was available on the new laptops that DS teachers had gotten. So we created this website to sort of help teachers understand. We had we had a page where you could see all of the different shortcuts that you could use to do things that you might not be able to do easily by just using regular commands. And yeah, we also had a basic contact us page where we put a form so that you could ask us any specific queries that you had. And yeah, so we created this as a part of the same group of project. And yeah, that was the Ubuntu user documentation and the Newcom project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about my individual presentation, which was my Carnatic music concert. So this was, yeah, yeah. So this was a project which I did, which was to raise funds for Shankara Netralaya Trust, which is an eye care center. So it's to support the main hospital, which is the Shankara Netralaya Hospital, which exists in Chennai, and it's a comprehensive eye care center for providing free eye care of international standard for indigent patients in the Indian subcontinent. So this was the poster which I had. So something which I had faced, which I thought was a problem during this thing, was collaborative working, because you have it's not just me who is singing, but it's also the other two people who are also playing. So it's important that you coordinate, and I took about 3 to 4 practice sessions, and that took a lot of it took a lot of thought, and you have to practice, and you have to have steps to work towards doing it, and it takes a lot of mental work also. So I thought that was something which I improved, and that helped me overcome the problems working collaboratively. And this was actually a service type of project, although it wasn't a group project, and I raised about 1,30,000 or 130,000 rupees for this trust through various donations I got. So I thought that was quite a good amount to donate, and it would certainly help them. And I feel I've done quite well in doing this, and I think I should do more of these, and it'll help me think about and work more collaboratively when I do so in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, just let me know when you can see my screen. Yeah. So one of the projects that I had done individually, which is a service project, was known as the which I had labeled as the paper drive. So for my paper drive, what I had really done was I would be taking all the boxes that I found in my house and all the different the papers, magazines that were unused, unwanted. I would take all of those and I would go to a place right next to my house where there would be these rag pickers. So I would take all of these boxes, all of these unwanted magazines, newspapers that I have collected over the past years or over the past months, and I would go and give it to these rag pickers. And well, this would help them because during this specific pandemic, for some of these rags, because it's very hard for them to make money. So by giving them such things, they could go and they could sell it and make a little bit of money for to get at least their daily provisions or some food. This is an example. This is one of the pictures that I had taken of a guy who was going through some of the stuff that he had collected, and he was trying to sell this stuff to get some money. So I had for some of the safety protocols that I had followed were a sanitization of every single thing of all my objects because of all the papers and everything because I don't want myself to get harmed or the rag picker because I wanted to ensure that everybody's health was maintained. And another thing was that I ensured that I wore latex gloves while giving them to the specific rag picker and wearing a mask also, and I also maintain social distancing. And one of the issues that I faced over here was um, one of the issues that I faced was communication because I'm not really fluent with the language Tamil, and majority of these rag pickers just speak Tamil. And to end off with my presentation, I would suggest all of you do the same. If you find a rag picker or if you find like a bagel lying on the street, just go give them some papers or something and ask them to go and sell it because they can make some money and then they can buy their own food, making them happy. That'll be all. Thank you.
So I'll be talking about my seed Ganesha. This was my first CAS project, and so I started this just 5 days before Ganesh Chaturthi was there. So I had made the poster, as you can see. I had made the poster on the first day and started promoting it through WhatsApp and Instagram. And on the following day, the next day itself, I started receiving orders. And by the fourth day, I had about 100 orders. And while I got their orders, I had noted their address and their info so I could deliver it to the house. I worked with another guy during this project. So he supplied the Ganeshas, and I had actually just helped him sell it. So so the issue I faced was during while he was delivering it, he didn't have proper delivery partners. He had like he used his friends, and while delivering the Ganeshas late night, few of them got caught by the police because this was during the COVID situation. So I had called everyone that night and apologized to whoever didn't receive the Ganesha and had refunded the money. So I had also donated the amount which I had made to the Sarvodaya Ladies Hospital, sorry, a hostel for the COVID relief material. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That is the end of the presentations. These were just few of the presentations that grade 11 had put together. Thank you for your patience. Lata, you can stop recording now, I think.